Welcome to Live in Gratitude Daily on Global Voice Radio, a show which inspires, motivates, and transforms through sharing real-life stories of gratitude. Here is your host, Denise Joy. Hello again. This is Denise Joy Thompson, and I'm the host of Live in Gratitude Daily. And with me today is one of our co-authors, Gloria Coppola. And we are going to talk about Gloria's message of gratitude that she has shared. And her message is on March 3rd. So, Gloria, one of the things that I know about you is that you have had a very interesting journey and that you have had so many wonderful experiences in your life. You have been exposed to so many people, so many different parts of the country, of the world. And sometimes when you and I have talked and when I've read your bio, when I've read what you've done, it is amazing what you have been able to see in your life. And I also know it is amazing what you have been able to share and give to others. So before we talk about your message of gratitude, can you share a little bit of the specifics of your journey?
Sure. Thank you, Denise. Well, when we talk about all the things that I got to experience, it sounds like a charmed life. But in reality, all these different experiences happened as a result of different things that took place, whether loss or tragedies or, just a whole plethora of challenges in life. And I have chosen out of that to see the gratitude in everything. And as a result, it has taken me with courage to places or people or teachers or situations in this world that God has guided me to learn a deeper lesson, to find my soul purpose, to live that and help others also experience like that. We could look at all the things that we've experienced in life, and everybody has something. And when we're given a plate that is so filled and it's cracking, we can go through a lot of emotional, psychological, and mental things and have some PTSD. And I know that a lot of people can relate to that. And how we choose to walk forward with that is its choice. It's a total choice. But not everybody always knows that. And because I believe that my faith, has taken me to a place to be able to listen and see things differently, it has helped me get through these stages in life. So if something unexpected showed up, I can go through all the emotional places of all that, or I can see what else is the grateful gift in it all. And as a result, other doorways began to open in my life that brought me to other situations and places to live even in more gratitude. Because especially when you get out of this country in the United States and you get to go work in missionary work and all, and you get to experience things from the eyes of children that live on the streets, and you see the immense gratitude in their heart to have a morsel of food, your problems become really small.
Right. One of the things that you had mentioned is as you have gone through life, you realize that having a perception of gratitude or changing your perspective to gratitude helped you to deal with situations in your life, helped you to put it into a perspective that even though it was difficult, it was traumatic, and dealing with grief and loss is definitely difficult for individuals. And at a certain time, we see the gratitude. And that is what our book, Live in Gratitude Daily, The Key to Abundance, Joy, and Love, that's what the messages are all about. that we create this foundation of gratitude so that no matter what we are dealing with in life, we have our human emotions, and then we remember to think about what do we still have in our life, or what are we observing? Like you said, the children who were exhibiting gratitude for the morsel of food, that creates gratitude and awareness in us. And so when we cultivate that in our own life, when we're able to go to that place, that space of gratitude, regardless of what's going on in our life, that is where we really are doing our growing and our learning. And we then are really able to help others through what we're able to do with our own gratitude.
Absolutely. You know, I studied with Kahuna for many years when I lived in Hawaii, and they speak about the greatest lesson where we grow is through humility. Because it's not the things that we know, it's not the knowledge that we have gained, it's really going into that place of our heart and feeling and speaking from our heart. And I have, I've been embezzled in my business. I lost a husband. There's so many things where things were taken away. But when I look back at all of it, the lessons in humility have helped me come to a place in life to see the gift in each and every situation and how fortunate I am. And so even right now, I'm going through another stage and I'm sitting here going, really? Again? Like, why? But, as a coach too, it's like the more you experience, the more you can relate and help others as well, because you have an understanding, you have life experience, not book knowledge.
Right.
And so, I was this past week actually being challenged, again. And I just one night started having this conversation with God, and then I woke up and I began to see things get different again. And there's a lot of things I don't understand, and I'm not meant to understand them, but I am meant to see the gift in a flower blooming, the water that's running out of my sink, the fact that I have toothpaste and people in some countries don't, So it is all those simple little things that if we really acknowledge them instead of getting more, wanting more, we'd actually have more peace in our lives and in our hearts.
Right. And I think, well, actually, for myself, I know since creating a Live in Gratitude Daily lifestyle, living in gratitude daily, I am at peace. I am calmer. I want less. Now, that doesn't mean that my emotions, that I'm always happy,
Right.
because I'm a human being and things happen and I have every emotion that anybody else has. But how quickly I can come back and think about what do I have in this moment that supports me. And I can take action to change or to accept, to have a different perspective on whatever the angst is that's going on. Like you said, you had a conversation with God. Your faith is very, very important to you. And so you had a conversation, and then it was sort of like, okay, let's see where this goes. And I might have the answers when I wake up. I might not have the answers, but I still can have faith that things will work out, regardless of what that working out looks like.
Mm-hmm. And I've learned that, just doorways of spiritual opportunity open up, including today, okay? To be here with you and to share this gift with the people that, do tune in. So many people are craving this kind of inspiration. They don't have it in their lives. They don't have people in their lives to even have these discussions. So I'm grateful that I get to be here and get to share these stories, because you're right. We're not always smiling. Okay. I did some crying this week, to be honest with you. I was in a frustrated place. I was, even moments, I wouldn't say anger, but definitely deep, deep frustration. And even depression was kicking in a little bit because of different things. And I'm writing another book, so it's taking me into the soul imprint of this journey and the purpose behind it all. And then there's so much going on in this world that when you look at, like the shootings and stuff, what is really happening here? And how could we say we should be grateful for that? Well, we can be grateful for that because there's an awakening happening. There's people realizing that they have to have core values again. They have to bring spiritual values into their life. They have to have more nurturing in their own families. They have to connect with nature instead of a computer and a cell phone all the time. There's so much to be grateful for when we see these, what we think are terrible things happening in the world. If we step back and we look at it from another perspective and say, what is really going on here? Just like I do in my own personal life, what is really going on here? And it's an opportunity for us to do something in this world where we're giving back, where we're serving, and then other people get to be grateful for the work that we do as well in their lives.
Right. And what you just said, Gloria, is so important for people to understand. And I think if we look at history, after tragedies, there are the changes that take place because of the awareness that people have. Now, it's very sad that there has to be man-made or even natural disasters, right? It results in us having safeguards, creating different environments. So whether it's man-made, whether it's terrorism, whether it's war, whether it's a natural disaster, we learn from those things. We then can make changes to decrease the impact. And oftentimes, when do the populace come together except after tragedy?
Right. Sometimes we don't even know our neighbors, right? We don't talk to them unless a tragedy happens. And so I'm grateful that moments of awakening happen, because it does give us a sense of re-empowering ourselves instead of turning it over to whatever source is governing things, okay? And not blaming, that's the other thing I see, it's like we get the opportunity to be grateful for how we can walk in this world now, to what steps do we take? Because if I am responsible for how I play my role in this world, that just gets to spread a lot more gratitude, to the people in my life. And I think if more of us saw it that way, there wouldn't be as much of the blame and the violence and everything that goes on. And so I'm looking at, all the different situations. And like John Lennon says, you can call me a dreamer, imagine, right? But I am. And I'm grateful for that because we need people like that can still see things that way, that give hope to humanity.
Right. Well, Gloria, another thing that you had mentioned was the fact that not everyone has the opportunity that you and I have to come together and to talk about gratitude, to come together as supportive human beings with an understanding of how important gratitude is. Right. And one of the things that came out of putting together Live in Gratitude Daily and having the other co-authors, in some ways, by bringing these people together, I created a tribe that has supported my journey. Yes. Because I'm able to talk with all of you and we're able to work through what does gratitude mean in our life? And what does it mean to have a lifestyle of gratitude? And so we have the support. We can talk about it. And now we're able to share even more besides on the Facebook. But through the show, Live in Gratitude Daily, we get to share even more with people so they can also come to understand what the research shows is so important about gratitude. And another thing, being a therapist, when I was looking into gratitude, the fact that there has been so much research, and when we look at the different religions, historically, they have identified the importance of gratitude. So
it's a vibration that lifts you up, and why not be lifted up? It's like we can stay in victim mode, which kind of puts us down into that Charlie Brown victim, cartoon, or we could look at this differently and say, okay, no matter what tragedy happens, what can we see, in our own lives? When I look back at the tragedy of the way my husband died and all the events that happened from that, there's a lot of gratitude because I got to explore parts of myself that I wasn't making time for. I got to do things for people and with people that if I was running my business the way I was, like a workaholic, it would never have happened. Mm-hmm. So it opened up a freedom for me to see life differently instead of grinding out the work every day and just stuck in my head, instead of really living life fully and contributing, from this place instead of this place.
Right. So we had opportunities after transitions. And I think knowing and understanding gratitude, as we are on the journey to know and understand gratitude, allows us the opportunity to embrace what we can after a significant change and transition in our life. So what I would like to do now is to have you talk about your specific message that is on March 3rd of our book, Live in Gratitude Daily, because that was another transition for you. That was another time of significant change.
Yes, it was. And I'm glad that we can do this because it all ties in, because we can be afraid of a lot of things and then we can get the gift. So March 3rd is significant for me because it is the birthday of my first child. And as a young mother, we have so many things that go in our head. Are we going to be a good parent? There's all these different fears. Gosh, I remember having nightmares about, delivering my son and thinking, oh God, I don't want to even let him out, And so, all these different things that come up about being a mom, and there's no instruction booklet, that tells us. And so that whole process of, conceiving a child, thinking about the growth that's taking place, watching your body physically change, all the emotions that are going through you, and asking yourself, am I prepared for this change in life? Well, no, I wasn't. I could go decorate the nursery and prepare for that, but I was not prepared for the experience of the birth, because I never had experienced it. And the life journey with my son, who's now 42 years old. Okay. And so did you want me to read the thing that I wrote too?
Yeah, you can go ahead and read it.
Okay. So the time came upon me when the seed was planted to nurture a child, a gift, a journey I was not prepared for until the day came. Silence. No one knows I'm here, that I breathe, therefore I exist. There is love. I have been conceived. The path is now chosen. The day came when love embraced me as I took one look into those sky blue eyes, and my heart opened because I became a mom. We may never be prepared or ready for changes in life, the ones planned or the surprises that show up. If we open to see the beauty in the gift, the fear disappears and our hearts open to love. For what we fear can bring us what we want for those who seek the truth. Life unfolds in the joy of each daily gift. Every seed we plant is simply nurtured through a grateful heart. Change happens not by trying to make yourself change, but by becoming your greatest version of yourself through the consciousness of awakening your purpose and serving how you are called.
Hearing you, I thought when I, read it silently to myself, when you submitted your message for our book, and I don't have children, but it resonated with me. And hearing you read it makes it so much more poetic and emotional. And it was so beautiful in regards to, the uncertainty and fear that you might have had. But it was such a blessing and such a loving experience for you. And then, of course, there's been 42 years with your son. So the toddler years, the teenage years, all those things that go along with having children. But even in the midst of fear and uncertainty and not knowing and questioning, there still was what came through this for me, the love and gratitude that you had for this experience.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And even all 42 years of every bump in the road and every joy that he brought me, even now going through some things. And there's something that I became tremendously grateful for. So for those that do have children, and you know the relationship changes just like it does in other relationships as we grow, and he's a father, he's a husband and a father, and they're going through their own challenges in life. And there was a dynamic there for a few years that he became so shut down that our relationship was not what it was when he was a young boy or a young man. And that brought sadness, but I also had to respect where he was in his new life and in his relationship. And it brought some other things to me to learn about myself, and I was grateful for that. And I was grateful that I raised a son who stepped up to being a dad, amazing dad, an amazing husband, and stood by his wife, and was courageous to confront me, a very strong mom, in saying what he needed to do. And I even said to him, that took a lot of courage, and I'm so proud of you. So, for several years, the relationship had changed. And over Christmas, Christmas Eve, I was at their house, and I wasn't quite feeling so comfortable with some of the situations there. And I just, asked God for some more strength, and I was getting ready to say goodbye and leave that evening. And there was a conversation going on. And for the first time in years, my son said, "So Mom, what do you think about that?" And I was like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And I was grateful for my connection with my faith, because that's what I called upon to answer that question, not from here, okay, from a higher source, a higher frequency. And when the words came out, he responded to his wife, "You need to listen to my mother." Now, this is after 17 years of me basically keeping it zipped up, because he made a choice in that marriage to do things the way they had to do. And I have to tell you, I was so grateful for the journey that I took to learn when to be quiet and when to call upon God, and to allow and trust those words to come through. Because in that moment, I was so grateful to see my son, the little boy that I raised, and said, wow, he's still in there. And I know a lot of parents go through this in life, and just know they're there, okay? They're there. But sometimes we're so, in that place of, ego and trying to fix and change things and stuff, that we forget to just step back and be grateful for the moment, and then ask, hey, I need some help here, and I'm grateful for that. So for people that don't have that connection as strong, or don't have it at all, explore it, whatever it is for you, in any tradition that it is for you, explore it, because it's really, for me, I find, and the people I work with, the core value that gets you through all, whether it's a big bump or a little one, it gets you through that. And for that, gosh, I am so grateful I have that.
Right. Well, one of the things that I have found, and I have heard from other people, is when they embrace gratitude, when they create a foundation of gratitude in their life, in their relationships to themselves and to others, they become more spiritual. And when I use spiritual and spirituality, to me that includes our religious faith, and also our relationship with spirit, with universe. And so it doesn't have to be exclusive. And some people are religious, and they may not embrace some of the spiritual beliefs or spirituality per se, but gratitude enhances our faith in what is good in the world, what higher power that we can converse with, that we can connect with. And I see that in people, and it's this energy, it's this aura, it's this vibration, and in some ways, even attracting more of those individuals, even you and I connecting,
yes,
is because of the energy, the vibration, our beliefs, and how we're living our life.
Absolutely. I totally believe that. Absolutely. This past year, I took a deeper dive, a really deep dive of trust and faith, like the unshakable trust through all this. And I don't consider myself per se a religious person, although a lot of people do consider me that because of the way I talk. And so, whatever that is for anybody, it's fine because I have found, again, that frequency to work with that. And over life, people have asked me, "Oh, are you Buddhist? Are you Jewish? Are you Christian?" They can't figure it out. But that's okay because that connection there, when you get that unshakable trust in something higher, it doesn't matter what you call it. Okay. And so when I decided to dive deeper into it, I'm going to tell you, it was a little scary at first, and then it was so freeing. Oh my gosh, it was so freeing. It was like I just surrendered into this deep, dark abyss, and really felt supported more than ever. And it doesn't mean that stuff doesn't come up for me, but it keeps taking me back to that, to trust your path, trust your purpose. And that is what gets me through. And for that, I am grateful for that cord. That cord is really strong. It's not tethered like it was years ago from different things going on in my head about what's real, what's truth, what's my belief, feeling like I'm in the blender of spirituality today. So I think that's really important, like you're seeing it in people, the frequency, like you said, the aura. I think that's important for people to find that. And if they don't know where to get it, then come find people like us, raise your frequency. Was it the law of proximity? Surround yourself with the people that are where you want to be.
Right. The other thing that I've also seen and experienced myself, and you mentioned it earlier a little bit, about this authenticity that we start to have about ourselves, that we now are more open, more honest, we live more authentically because of experiencing gratitude or understanding what gratitude is all about. And the other day I had done a Facebook Live because one of the messages in the book talked about gratitude as a state of being. And in some ways, we can't be in that state of being if we are hiding ourselves from ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a Facebook Live the other day too. I don't know if you saw it. It came unexpected. Actually, I was driving over to give somebody some healing work, and I kept getting this message. I had to pull over and share this message. And I was like, "Oh, please don't make me do this now." And so, it was interesting because the authenticity and the emotion that came out of it, especially when people started, clicking those hearts, from what was being shared. I just started to cry. I mean, I could not have put myself out there more vulnerable ever, and I probably would not have done that 5 years ago. But it was amazing because looking back, I was grateful that I could break through and be that authentic to people and not be afraid, because I know there's a lot of people going through a lot of things. And I know there's a lot of people that get certain feelings and intuitions, but they don't share it because they're afraid they're going to be wrong or somebody's going to say something, oh, that's crazy. Well, I'm crazy. That's okay. What does that mean anyway, right? And so I'm grateful that I have honed in on my gifts, that I now listen, more frequently and more astutely. And I think that's a big piece, knowing how to discern and to be authentic and vulnerable like that, to share insights that are happening in the moment, and powerful ones, emotional ones that bring you to tears. It touched so many people, and I didn't know how they were going to react. And that moment, I didn't care.
Right.
That was not the agenda to even worry about it. And to be in that space, gosh, I'm grateful for that. Because when I was younger, you think about, oh, what's this one going to say? What's that one going to say? I have a coach that's helping me with my book, my next book that I'm publishing. And he talks about this all the time, about getting into that authentic, vulnerable space so that the people that you're communicating with can be in there with you. They feel it. They're living it with you. They understand it. And yet so many of us want to hide because we want to present a certain image to people, because if we present anything less, then maybe they're going to think we're a failure, or that, there's something wrong with us, when that is not truth at all. Because we all have stuff. Every one of us has stuff. Haven't met anybody who doesn't. So
Right.
when
And
you
even,
find the tribe that says, hey, I'm right there with you and I understand, and let's lift each other up. Well, that's amazing.
yes. And the other thing, Gloria, that you said is so important is when we share, we find others who want to share, but we're more afraid than we are.
Yeah.
And so we allow others to see, and not that I necessarily, thought I would grow up and I'm going to be a role model, I'm going to be a leader, but in our lives, that is what we do.
Yes.
And we're able to take that step, and then others see us, others hear us, they realize they can be honest, they can be authentic, and then they join us.
Yeah, they do.
And that really, I think, is part of what we are able to do because we've had our awareness. Now, that doesn't mean we're not continuing to grow and be more aware.
Oh, totally. There's another layer that happens, right?
Right.
But it is like the birthing process. It's exactly like the birthing process because it's all gestation. There's a gestation cycle for everything.
Yes, yes. And the growing is wonderful. The growing, like you said, when you see something, you might tear up. A flower, a bird, the sun is shining. As I was going through this process and being more open and authentic, it was like, really? I'm crying at a commercial. I'm, tearing up because the sun is shining, or who knows what. And sometimes it was sort of funny because you didn't imagine it. But it's that connection that one can have with almost everything in the world.
Yeah. What's that saying? You have to break down to break open. You have to crack the egg, to see the light. I think that's a huge part of, what a lot of us go through because many of us, held a lot of those emotions back, especially if we were in positions, where we had to be quote unquote strong. And even men, it's like, well, they can't cry because they have to be strong. And the way we're conditioned to believe that no tears makes you strong, it's exactly the opposite.
Correct. And one of the things that came to mind as you were talking about that are some of the changes that are occurring in our world today. And I think by women being more aware that they can have a voice, and I truly hope the voices are shared in as positive and loving way as possible, even though I know that there's a lot of anger to mask hurt and vulnerability. But we as women, when we allow everyone to hurt, when we allow everyone to have a voice, we heal ourselves as women and we help heal men so they can be more authentic, so they can cultivate gratitude. So then we all are cultivating gratitude and working on being authentic with one another.
Yeah, and men also need a voice. And for the book that I'm working on, at first I was only going to interview women because women were raising their hand. And one day I went on social media and I said, where are the men that are going to raise their hands with the stories that they've gone through and evolved from? And I was pretty amazed at how many men did reach out to me, and listening to some of the things that they went through as a man and the persona that they had to put out there, whether it was for family or, some of them may have been teachers, whatever it was. And to hear them and feel them from that heart space of the challenges and struggles they have had in their life, hiding more than women, it's amazing.
Right.
And I do feel that we are all meant to come together in this time now. It's not just a me too. It's us.
Right.
There's a lot of stories out there that haven't been told. But like you were saying, it's not a place of anger to tell them. It's a place, again, of being grateful for what you learn, sharing those gifts, educating young ones. I see so many young moms, dealing with these brilliant children and not knowing the skill sets in this day and age to use. And why do some get abused and some don't? What's there in their life? Are some just luckier than others? No, there's a level of awareness. Okay. And I think all this coming up, this is a birthing process too, to let this out, to open this gateway and to heal the things that we have been hiding, because there's no more hiding anymore.
Right. And in some ways it's the life of the world per se. The world change that is happening is going to allow our world to continue.
Yes.
Because there was some things that were sort of spiraling down.
Yeah.
That we have to stop.
Yeah.
So that we have a world that we continue to live in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel, and I'm working with a few people and looking some more people out there that want to collaborate on a system for education, not the traditional education, some of the things that have been lost and some of the things that have not been put in our system for thousands of years, in order to help bring the balance back, okay? Bring the values of how to work with our communities and our earth, how to, like ancient principles, when you talk to elders from all over the world, they will all tell you, all you have is right now. That's it. You can't bring the baggage with you. It's not, unless you want to have it hurt your back. And tomorrow isn't here. Right. So in the right now, what do we do? Mm-hmm. And if, like you said, we can live in gratitude for everything you have right now, then how can we spread that and teach that to keep going forward? I was in Panama this past year, and there's an indigenous village there. And a few days before I got there, they really live off the grid. Okay, there's shacks that they're living in, really just laying on a floor, no electricity, nothing. Okay, one of them caught fire, and as a result, with the winds, several of them burnt. And that's all these people have. They don't have many clothes, they don't have shoes, they don't have what we have. And so one of my friends that actually married one of the indigenous men, she went there to help them. And she was there the next day, and she was talking to one of the women who lost everything she owned in that home. And she was sad for her. And the woman said, no, we celebrate with joy today because we are alive and we get to rebuild and rebirth. Yes. Amazing. And it really took her right into that moment and of gratitude. Wow, I'm really glad this woman said this, because we want to hold on to what happened yesterday. And so I think that is also something that we have to bring into our culture again, bring that forward into this culture and teach people, look at today. Okay, today's a hard day. What can we do as community to help each other? And that's what they did when the fire happened. She said it was amazing. She said they're very expressive in the moment. They don't shove the emotions down like some of us do to be emergency responders. They're very expressive, but she said they're efficient. They do what they have to do. Everybody came together, got everybody out safely. Nobody got hurt. And while I think it was 6 huts lost everything, the next day it was like, okay, let's start all over again. And nobody's complaining that FEMA didn't come and this one didn't come. They do what they have to do in gratitude because they have their life.
And, people, it takes different lengths of time for different people. And for some individuals, they're not even yet exposed to or aware of the concept of gratitude. I mean, people say thank you and people appreciate things, but to have the true understanding of gratitude and how it can enhance our life is what oftentimes people don't know. And so us talking about it, sharing in our book, Live in Gratitude Daily, that is what can help people to create gratitude in their life for themselves and for everyone that they come into contact with.
Yes.
Well, Gloria, I want to thank you for being a part of our book and for joining me today on the show, Live in Gratitude Daily on Global Voice Radio. And I would like you to share, how can people get a hold of you? How can people look you up on social media, on your website? So if they have questions for you, if they want to connect with you, how can they do that?
Well, I kept it simple. It's my name. My website is my name. So when you think of the famous producer, Francis Ford Coppola, that's my last name, Coppola. So my website is Gloria Coppola, COPPOLA.com. And my email is gloria@gloriacoppola.com. So all they have to do is type my name in. They'll see my website come up, and social media, that's how they can find me as well. And email, that's how you find me too. And I love teaching people about gratitude, just like you. I love opening that world to them. I love helping them see their purpose and whatever they've gone through, so that they can gain more gratitude in their lessons in life. And I'm grateful to be here today with you and all the other authors that have contributed to 365 days of lifting that vibe up high.
Right. Well, thank you very much. And I want to let our audience know, if you would like a copy of Live in Gratitude Daily, The Key to Abundance, Joy, and Love, you can find us on Amazon. And we also want to encourage you to join our Facebook group, Live in Gratitude Daily. So you can find me in our Facebook group. You can find me on Global Voice Radio, our Facebook group, and there's the cover of our lovely book. So we want to help you to have a Live in Gratitude Daily lifestyle. So if there's any questions that you have from what Gloria and I talked about, please contact us. Let us know what we can help you with in your life. So again, Gloria, thank you very much, and I look forward to more conversations with you and our journey in supporting each other and in gratitude. And thank you very much.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Live in Gratitude Daily with Denise Joy. Join us every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern on Global Voice Radio.